Hi everyone, this is Lisa from the Rhinestone World, and in this video I'm going to show you how to set up a design for a full-length tumbler. This is one of our skinny tumblers, and I'm using our FTC sign vinyl in magenta and gold metallic. I have my beginning of my design in my Silhouette Studio. So what I did is I basically just drew a bunch of circles and I made sure that the top row was a line across. Whenever you do a scatter design, you want the border to be a straight line that kind of defines what you're scattering off of. So I just did a couple different rows, mixed in some other colors. And now what I need to do is I need to set it up for my tumbler. So the tumbler that I'm working with is pretty straight up and down. These are really nice skinny tumblers, so it makes designing for them fairly simple. So I measured it out. It's about 9 inches across, so that's what I made my first set of polka dots. And now I'm going to draw a box for me to set up my design in to make sure I have it sized correctly. So I'm going to draw this square and then select it. Now I'm going to go to my scale panel here, and I'm going to uncheck lock aspect. Typically what that does is it'll change your width but keep your height proportional. But what I want is I want to specify exactly how wide and how high I want this box to be. So I'm going to uncheck that, make my width 9 inches, and make my height around 7.25 inches. So 7 1/4 is about how tall my tumbler is. So I'll go ahead, hit enter, then apply. So now here's my square. So I'm going to set up my whole design in this square. I won't cut the square at the end, but I want this to make sure that I have everything sized correctly. So I have this right here, use my arrows, and now I need to make a copy of it. So I'm going to hold down the Alt key to get this plus sign, drag this down, and now what I need to do is I need to flip this. So I'm going to go right click, flip vertically, and now we have this set this way. Now you can keep it like this, or you can even flip it horizontally, so right click, flip horizontally, to kind of make sure that they're not exactly symmetrical on your tumbler. Now if you want them symmetrical, you can keep it that way. I'm not a super huge fan of it, so I'm not going to do it. So now I'm set up here, and I want to do a name for the inside. So I'm going to do my text tool and type Lisa, and then I'm going to click on here and choose my font. So I have a font that I like called Wolfsbane. I got it from the Hungry JPEG, and I'm going to take this, and this is a script font, so I'm going to weld it, and you can see parts of it weren't touching, so they're separate. I'm going to right click and make that a compound path. So that basically combines it into one big shape. So we have this set like this. Let me fill it in so I know what color. So I want it to be this gold color. I'm going to use my eyedropper, choose this gold, and now there's my name. So now what I want to do is I want to turn it because I want it to go up and down. So I'm going to hold down the Shift key and turn it this way. So we're going to do that. Let me go back. Didn't really turn correctly. And we'll bring it just like this. So we have it like this, and now we have it sized about where I want it on my cup. So I'm going to grab all of my elements, so both borders of the box, go to the Align panel and align center. I want this to be right in the middle of my design. So now I just want a little something to make this stand out. So I'm going to click on my name and go to Offset. Click Offset. I'm going to type in 0.08. So you can see it made a line off of my shape. Hit Apply. Now you can see that these are separate sections again, so I'm going to do Control E to make them one object. And now what I want to do is I want to make another offset. So I'll go Offset again, and I'll type in 0.08. Hit Apply. And now I have two lines right here. So what I want to do is I want to combine both of these lines into one ring. So I'm going to drag my mouse over until I catch both offsets. You'll see two light gray boxes. I'm going to right click, make compound path. Now you can see one of the boxes has disappeared. That's because you've gone from having two shapes to one. Go to my fill panel, choose this pink, and now you can see I have a nice little border for my vinyl. So now I'm all done with this box. I don't need it anymore. So I have my design all set like this. Now there's a couple more things that I'm going to do. I want to make sure that I align this correctly when I place it. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a box here. Use my pointer tool, make a duplicate by holding down Alt. And then I'm going to align these on each other. So align it on the middle. Now I'll actually do one more. Go right here, align middle. So what this is going to be is I'm going to group it, and these are going to be my registration marks to make sure that I have this layered correctly after I cut it. So I'm going to go over here and draw one more box. This will be my weed box for when I weed my design. So we're all set with all of this. So now I can take this and set it up to cut. Now what I need to do is I need to cut by color because I need to cut my pink and then my gold. So I'm going to go over here, highlight all of this, go to my cut panel. Now we'll be under advanced, and you can see that your tools selected will be right here. So I'm doing everything on tool 1, and you can see we have different fill colors in here. So I want to cut the no color, which are my boxes. So you'll see my boxes have turned dark, and right now I only want to cut the pink. So I'm going to uncheck this gold, and then double check right here. I have it set to my Easy Weed cut settings. You want to click on this color and find the cut setting that you're going to be working with. I am using my FDC cut settings, which is our decal vinyl. So I'll choose FDC, and I can go over here, make sure I have it on automatic blade if I'm using it for the Cameo 3, and then I can load my material and cut. And once I'm done with my first color, all I'm going to do is I'm going to uncheck my pink and check the gold and be ready for my second cut. So I'm going to go ahead and send these to the cutter, and then I'll be ready to layer. Here are both my designs that I cut. I cut out these sections of dead area because that's, a decent amount of vinyl that I could use again for scrap vinyl. So I went ahead and cut that out so I could preserve it. I'm going to weed this out. This is the excess around my whole box. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this and get this right here. So this is the excess. Now I can weed the box that all my polka dots are in. So you can go right here. Pull this vinyl up. And then I'll pull this. This little section here will give, there you go. So I have that. And now this is my outline. So I want to grab where my inside name is going to be. We have this. And we'll get that. One little section here. Here. All right, so here's my first set. Now I'm going to go ahead and weed this one. So it's the same process. Both of these are weeded. So now what I need to do is I need to layer the colors on top of each other. I'm going to layer the pink on top of the gold. You can do it the other order because nothing is overlapping. It doesn't super matter what order you do it in, but I'm going to go do it in this order. Now my tape is not wide enough, so I'm going to do 2 pieces this way. So let's bring my tape down, make sure I have it the right distance. Then I'll cut it down. Now let's drop this down. Good. Now let's smooth this over. Now I need to cut another piece. And I just need to make sure these dots get picked up. Great, so there's my transfer tape. I'm going to cut out these sections here just to make it easier on me. So let's trim this off. And I can set these aside. These are great. I can save them for like little scrap pieces that I'm going to do in a little bit. So let's cut this down. Great, so here's my first color. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the backing where these squares are, but leave everything else on. That way my squares can stick to the next layer without having the rest of my design touch the next one, because then if it touches too soon, you've layered it incorrectly and it's frustrating and everyone's unhappy and so on. So we're going to take this, and because this is cut from the same file, everything is in the same spot. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this down because I can sense it's going to touch a polka dot on the bottom and I'm going to be so unhappy. It'll be so frustrating. So I'm just trimming everywhere where my transfer tape is exposed a little bit. I'm just going to trim it down to be sure. Okay. Now let's go ahead and line these squares on each other. So we have this one, this one, this one. Great, so now our squares are set up. I can take this design, take it off the backing, and slowly bring it down like this. See that? So we'll just smooth this out. Make sure it's really stuck to my vinyl, the tape. And now I'm just going to trim off this section. And I'm actually going to trim really close to my design. And the reason being is the design is set up to be right on the edge of my tumbler. So I want to be able to get it really, really close. Let's do that. I can get this right here. And this right here. Great. Now I'm ready to apply this to my tumbler. Now this process can be tricky. There's no real science to it, at least not that I have found. What I'm going to do is I'm going to find this top edge and just take a little bit of my transfer tape off and drop this down. And now slowly finish that process. Now this can be tricky because you're working with the top and the bottom. So just be careful. If you accidentally drop it like I just did, the good thing is that this is a confetti print, so it doesn't actually have to be perfect. So let's go ahead. But now what really matters is the name here. So you can see I have my name going. So let's go ahead, guide this here. I'm going to take off my paper and cut slits just to get a little bit of a separation so I can smooth my name down easily without it affecting the borders. And the reason why it's cutting so difficult is that I have two pieces of transfer tape right there. So I'm going to go ahead, grab this, drop this down, and now I can continue on placing these polka dots. And then let's drop back down to this side. You can see the bottom tapered a little bit, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut this. Great, so the transfer tape might wrinkle a little bit. That's totally fine. We just want our vinyl to stay on well, so we're going to take this, reposition that little polka dot, and now we'll start lifting. So the metallic can be a little tricky, so just make sure you're really smoothing down the metallic before you lift up your tape. So here's the extra piece that I had. We have that. And now let's go back over here, smooth this. And you can see my metallic lifted a little bit here, so I'm just going to go ahead and smooth that out now we have our confetti tumbler. So you can see we have our name here and our polka dots on the top and the bottom. This is a great way to incorporate the top and the bottom of the tumbler and leave yourself a good margin for error. You can see the tumbler does taper a little bit, so that's where it can be tricky, but applying it overall isn't too bad. And if you're using any other vinyl, it will stay pretty well. The metallic tends to not want to do what you want it to do, but once you get it on the tumbler, it looks great. So if you want to buy any of these vinyls, we do have it on our website at therhinestoneworld.com. And if you have any other questions, you can email us at info@therhinestoneworld.com. Hey everyone, if you like this video, make sure you subscribe below so you don't miss any tutorials or project ideas.